A skewer is a chess tactic where you attack a piece and after it moves, you can grab the piece behind it. For example, in this position, rook up to h8 is a skewer. You attack the king and it must move out of the way, and after it does so, the rook behind it is now hanging and you can go ahead and capture it. This same pattern can also happen with queens, like for example, queen to e1 check. The king must move and now you can capture the queen behind it. And also bishops as well, like bishop to f3 here, attacking the queen, it must move, and then you can capture the rook in the corner. Using these ideas, you can get such positions as this one, where the only winning move is queen takes on d5, sacrificing the queen, and after black captures, their king and queen are now on the same diagonal, and bishop to f3 check skewers, they must move. Now you can capture the queen, and you have a winning king and pawn and bishop endgame. A fork is a chess tactic where two or more pieces are attacked simultaneously. In this position, knight to e7 is a fork of the king and the queen. The king must move, and then we can simply pick off the queen with a winning endgame. That example is with a knight, but every single piece can perform a fork. In this position, pawn up to e5 is a fork of the bishop and the knight. In this position, bishop to d5 is a fork of the king and the knight. In this position, rook up to d6 is a fork of the king and the bishop. In this position, the hard to find queen to g7 is a fork of the king and the rook. And in this position, king up to e5 is a fork of the bishop and the knight. And with those ideas in mind, you can have very fun tactics where the winning move is queen to h8 check, luring the king over to h8 to now capture on f7 with a fork of the king and the queen. The dropback is a rare tactic where your piece is pinned, but you can save it by dropping the piece back and simultaneously defending the other piece. It is most common with bishops, but can also happen with knights. Like here, black has this pin, but you can play knight back to c3, defend the queen, at which point you are in a winning endgame. Here, black plays king to c6, intending to win the bishop, but a little nuance is that if the pinning piece here is undefended, you can often play a move like a bishop takes on d4. Now they cannot recapture because then you'd capture their rook, so instead they have to capture your rook, but then you can simply recapture and now you're safe and in a winning endgame. Here you have a really subtle tactic after king to c7 intending to go king to b6. The only winning move here is the beautiful rook to a4. The idea after king to b6, you now play bishop to b5. Bishop defends the rook, they cannot capture because then you capture their rook, so they are forced to capture, at which point you capture back and are once again in a winning endgame. A backrank is a tactic where you can send your rook or queen all the way across the board, and because your opponent's king is trapped, it is a simple checkmate. A very common scenario is when a pawn is pushed, but you actually have your pieces controlling that square, meaning that you will still have a backrank checkmate. In this position, the only winning move is the incredible queen takes on f7. The point is that after black captures, you can now send your rook all the way across the board, and because of this nasty pin here, this is a simple checkmate. In this position, the only winning move is the brilliant and subtle queen to f7. Black cannot capture because of rook d8, and once again a checkmate. If they instead try to back their rook up to g8, then a simple rook up to e8 anyways. The rook is going to be lost, and if they capture, then simply queen takes on e8 is checkmate. And lastly, if they try queen to d6 or some other move to defend the rook, then now once again rook to e8. They cannot capture because of a checkmate, and because of that, the rook is simply going to be lost, and you have a completely winning position. The double check is a tactic where two pieces check at the same time. Like here, knight to f6 is a double check and instantly checkmate. In this position, you can win black's rook by playing bishop to b5. A double check, so they have to run their king, and now you can drop your rook into e8 with a skewer. They have to move their king, you capture the rook with a winning endgame. And often, even though one piece is undefended, it doesn't matter. Here, knight to e5 double check is still winning, because they can't actually capture the rook because they would still be in check. They have to move, you capture with a winning endgame. Here you are winning with the incredible queen to d8. Queen sacrifice, and after black captures, you can now go bishop to g5, a double check, so they have to move their king. If they move to e8, then rook into d8 is checkmate. If they run their king to c7, then bishop to d8 is checkmate. A deflection tactic happens when your opponent is defending a piece, and you can make an attacking move that forces them to capture, and after they do so, their piece is now completely hanging. Here you are winning with bishop takes on f7 check. Black is forced to capture the bishop, and now their queen is completely hanging. In this position, we can force a promotion with the brilliant rook to f5. We pin their rook to their king, so they are forced to capture, and now we can safely promote. And in this insane position, you're winning with the incredible rook to d8. They're forced to capture, and now we play queen c6, attacking the rook with a checkmate threat, so they have to move their queen back to defend it, but now the other rook sacrifices itself. We deflect their queen again, and now we can capture their rook with checkmate. A smothered checkmate is a chess tactic where the enemy king is completely boxed in by their own pieces. In this position, the move knight to f7 is simply checkmate because the enemy king is completely boxed in. In this position here, our bishop is under attack, but we can play a tricky knight over to b5. And if they simply take our bishop, then a simple knight to d6 is just checkmate because once again, they have no squares that they can go to. In this position, instead of just trading and being equal, we actually have checkmate in one with knight over to d6. They cannot capture the knight because our queen has a pin on the pawn, and once again, the knight attacks the king and it simply has no squares it can go to. In this position, the only winning move is knight to h6 check. Both the knight and the queen attack the king, so it must move over, and now we win with the incredible queen into g8. They must capture with the rook, and that now allows us to play knight to f7 with checkmate. Underpromotion is a rare chess tactic where we promote into either a knight, rook, or bishop rather than a queen. For example, if we promote into a queen here, then the black king has no squares it can go to, and it is a stalemate. Stalemates are a draw, so a better move is to promote into a rook. That way the king still has a legal move, and we have checkmate on the very next turn. In this position, black is about to promote, and if we just go into a queen, then by the time we catch black's pawn, it is actually just going to be stalemate. So instead, a better move here is to actually promote into a bishop. That way, by the time we catch the pawn, black still has a legal move they can play, and we are winning. And lastly, in this position, we are winning with a beautiful sacrifice, queen takes on c6. After they capture, we now promote into a knight. That way black gets forked, so after they move, we can capture their queen, and the rook is trapped in the corner, and by the time we capture it, we're up a lot of material and completely winning. The discovered attack is a chess tactic where you reveal an attack on an enemy piece. For example, here we have this attack on the enemy king, so we are winning with bishop takes on f5. They must move their king out of the way, and now we can capture their queen, and we are winning. In this position, we have this attack right here, so we are winning with the move bishop to g8 check. They must capture, and now we can simply take their queen, and we are once again winning. But it does not always have to be a check. In this position, we are winning with knight to g4. We reveal this attack, and we are threatening checkmate on h2, so after they capture, we can simply take their bishop, and now the rook is trapped in the corner. And using these ideas, we have brilliant tactics, like in this position, we are winning with knight to d5, attacking the queen, it backs up, and now knight takes on c7. And this tactic works because after they capture, we play pawn takes on d6, and we reveal this attack, and we attack their queen simultaneously, so after they block, we can simply take, and we are now winning. The scholar's mate is a chess tactic where your bishop and queen line up early for a checkmate on the f7 or f2 squares. For example, in this position, your bishop and queen line up early on the f7 square, allowing you to capture and get a quick checkmate. In this position, your queen and bishop are lined up, but there is a black bishop in the way, so you're winning here with pawn to g4, attacking the bishop, but it cannot move, so whatever they play, we're simply going to be able to capture, and now we're up a piece. In this position, your bishop and queen are lined up, but your knight is in the way, so the winning move here is to play knight to f3 check. Get it out of the way, that way after they capture, we can simply take an f2 with checkmate. And lastly, in this position, you first want to get your queen in with something like queen to h5 check. Let's say king runs to d7, and you have to be careful. You don't just go into f7 right away, because they can simply block the queen, and we don't really have that much here. Instead, you take the pawn on f5 first. That way, after they move, now we have queen into f7 with checkmate.